Okay, so do any of you work puzzles? And this is my sign for puzzles. How do you guys sign puzzles? Okay. Do you guys work puzzles? I'm seeing the different signs that everybody uses for puzzles. What did I say I signed it? Okay, like this. Okay. Forgot for a second. How many saw the puzzle in the back? Raise your hand. It's a 1,000-piece puzzle. And it takes a long time to do that. How many of you are really good at making puzzles? You guys, you are? Okay. How many of you like to make puzzles, put puzzles together? Who hates doing puzzles and thinks it's boring and thinks it takes too long? And who cannot sit for hours and hours a day? 1,000-piece puzzle. I could do 10 pieces maybe and be done. Be done in 10 minutes? That's my limit. I can't sit that long. My son Isaac, he is the king puzzler. He can put together a 1,000-piece puzzle in one day's time. And not even an entire day, just several hours he can put a puzzle together. Our family is just in awe of him. He is a brilliant puzzler. He's even able to flip it over so you can't see the pictures and you can only see the cardboard and put together a 1,000-piece puzzle in one day's time. Seriously. Our family is just in awe of him. We are so impressed that he's such a smart puzzler. Isaac, for Isaac, that's a hobby. He loves to do that. He loves to put together puzzles. So our family always has to think really hard for Christmases and birthdays, and then in the summer, because there's such a long time between his birthday and summer, we have to think of a lot of different puzzles to get for him because he likes to do a puzzle every day and it makes him very happy. And when he's done, it goes in the box and he puts it away. So we have to have new puzzles all the time that he can enjoy doing and enjoy life. He likes having 1,000-piece puzzles. We don't get 250, 500-piece puzzles. He knows that he wants a 1,000-piece puzzle. He could sell his work. Well, he just loves life. That's important to him. He likes to eat and do his puzzles. He doesn't do it all day, every day, but anyway, he is the king of puzzle making. In the same way, that's an example for us in our lives because the puzzles have the pieces cut into certain shapes so that they fit together just right. You can't put them together just any old way. And that's the same as our life. The puzzle pieces have to fit together a certain way. Some puzzles, when you get them, they have a picture on the box, right? And it's really pretty, and you can tell that it has trees and a house and maybe a dog. And so you have an idea of how to put the puzzle together. But life is not like that. It's similar in that it's like a puzzle, but we don't have the big picture to see how it's going to come together. We don't get to see what's going to happen. We don't get to see something and decide, oh, that makes sense because those pieces fit together. We just don't have any picture on the box. Isaac can do it without a picture, but I have to have a picture on the box when I make a puzzle. I have to have some sort of an idea of where the dog goes, where the trees go. So I have to have a box with a picture so that I can know where to put the pieces. But for our lives, we have no picture. The only one that can see the bigger picture of our lives is God. He's the only one that knows that our life is a puzzle and knows how the puzzle is going to turn out from the time that we're born until the time that we die. We cannot see what the puzzle looks like. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow night. We don't know what will happen at the volleyball game. We don't know what the results will be. But He knows 100% of the time what's going to happen. Our lives are the same as a box of puzzles, but it's a mystery and it's a puzzle, right? It can be complicated because every person sitting out here has to deal with disappointments and challenges in our lives. Sometimes we think that things are going nuts because of all the things that we have to deal with. Sometimes things don't make any sense. Sometimes things happen that are very upsetting to us and they challenge us and it feels like it's too big for us to deal with. I had a challenge last week that took a day and a night and a day and a night and a day and a night without any distractions. And at the end, it was just amazing what happened, but I had to go through it. And every one of you has experienced sadness, and you've thought, why did that happen to me? Why is my family doing what they're doing? Why is my husband not paying enough attention to me? Why is my wife so distant? Why is she resisting my love? Why can't I find a job? Why can't I find a husband? Why can't I find a wife? Why? Right? We always scream why every day. Why? Why does my life have this, or why does my life not have this particular thing? I read a book as a pastor. You know, as a pastor, you have to read a lot of different books and you have to do a lot of studying. And you can tell who's studied and who hasn't. There's one book that I read that I just loved, and it was called Life is Not Fair, but God is Always Fair. That was the title of the book. Oh my goodness. I love that book. Really did. I know that some of you are sitting there thinking, no, God is not fair. Well, life is what's not fair. But God is always fair. And that's very true. You may not agree, but most people, when they have problems that come up in their lives, what's the first thing they do? They'll blame God. And I'm guilty of that too. Very guilty of blaming God and saying, why did you do this to me? Why did this happen to my son? And have been very angry and very upset with God. So I'm very guilty of that. And I struggle with a lot of different things like you do. My life over the last 53 years, I've had many struggles. I don't want you guys to worry about that. Just go ahead and keep your attention up here. So life will always have challenges, and my life as a pastor is not always holy and perfect. I'm just like you guys are. I blame God. Some people blame God. Some people will quit coming to church because they're mad at God right now. Because God didn't give them what they wanted. Or because God caused something to happen. So they decide, I'm going to ignore him for now. Or some people will quit church altogether. And they'll say, I prayed about this, and he never answered me. So I'm not going to church anymore. A lot of people will do that. But in Romans 8:28, this is a perfect scripture for us. It says, all things work together for our good. Isn't that cool? The key to that is, let's see the next slide. One more. The words that I have underlined here are the key. And that is something that you have to meditate on. What I went through last week, I meditated on these words. And that helped me to be able to sleep better. I had limited sleep because of work, but not because I was laying awake and worrying. So the word all means what? Does it mean sometimes? Does it mean once in a while? No. It means all things, all the time. All things. Positives, negatives, struggles, fears, not understanding something, physical, financial, money, family issues, and death. The big deal things, fighting for equality, all fall under that. And then the next word is what? together from birth to death. It's when that puzzle starts being connected. All of those pieces start falling into place. And it keeps happening until you get to heaven. And once those pieces start falling into place, you start to see where they make sense. And you start to be able to see the picture developing. And then you say, oh, okay, I get it. That makes sense now, right? That can happen. It's very important. Oops, I forgot the slide. The next word is are. Are good. Are good. That means all things work together. All those puzzle pieces come together for our benefit. Every single thing. So the way that you've gone through hard times, physically, financially, with your marriage, with your family, deaths, fighting for equality, you know that's happening and you can't see the bigger picture, but God can. He wants our lives to be victorious. He wants us to live happy, successful, wonderful, perfect lives. And so as those puzzle pieces come together and time goes on, you start to see how everything came together for your good. Even those struggles, even those difficulties, those fears, those pain, all of that pain, you start to see how all those pieces came together and it gives you a beautiful picture in the end. And remember that He wants you to be victorious. Remember who manages the world, who's in control. Right. Satan manages the earth right now. Every day he's enjoying what he gets to do. But it's your right and my right to decide not to make terrible decisions, right? God gives us free will. He gives us the ability to say yes and the ability to say no. He gives us that freedom to say yes or no to anything that we want. That's a whole lot of freedom. So if you put Satan times our bad decisions, that becomes a bad situation for us. All of the suffering that we go through, then we blame God. And God's trying to give us those puzzle pieces. He's trying to help us put everything in place to make that beautiful picture. With Satan and our careless decisions, things happen, and life is not fair. Some people may get sick often. Some people may never get sick. Some people may be able to lose weight very easily. Some people gain weight really easily. Some people have fun. Some people don't have fun. Some people have money. Some don't have money. Life is not fair, and we have to accept it. Just accept it. Life is wonderful. With God putting those puzzle pieces together, He makes all things to benefit us. Life is good. When those puzzle pieces start coming together and you start liking the result, that's great. But during the middle, oftentimes we curse Him and we want to know why that's happening to us. Instead of saying, I know this is painful, I know I'm broke, I know I'm struggling, I know I'm sick. Instead of saying that, continue to say, I know and I believe that He's putting those puzzle pieces together, and I know that I'm going to be victorious. It's going to be great. So that means that we'll face difficult times. We will face challenges. We might struggle. We might have to go backwards a few steps and then forwards again. Don't ever say your life is ruined. Don't ever say your life is over. How many of you have said that? And sometimes I can be a drama queen and say, oh, my life is a mess and it's a mess forever now. It's just temporary. Because God will continue to take care of you. He will continue to put those puzzle pieces into place. He will send you what you need constantly. because life is like a puzzle. Many people from birth to death receive all of those puzzle pieces, but they don't get to see how it turned out. They don't wait to see what it is because they decide their life is over, they can't deal with it anymore, and they give up. So you have to wait to see the whole picture. So I have a warning for you. It's really important. Please pay attention to my warning. A lot of people become bitter and resentful and angry before the puzzle is complete, before the year is finished, maybe before the 10 years is finished, and they blame God and they block God from their lives. You may hear the preacher say it, you may hear the teacher say it, that they become angry with God and they're mad at God. Well, that's the wrong theology. 1,000% wrong theology to blame God. You have to stop and take a time out and know and believe God's promise to us that He wants us to have a wonderful, victorious life. You're going to go through problems, you're going to go through pain, you're going to have bad experiences. But it's not because of God. Again, it's from who? Satan and our wrong decisions. And the crazy part of this is, when Satan does it and we get mad at God, we get stuck in that anger and that disappointment, and then we're not able to see the picture as it develops. Does that make sense? It's happened to a lot of people. You become angry and bitter, and then you're mad at God, and then you get stuck. He's continuing to send more puzzle pieces for things to fall into place. So if you know that life is not fair, and you continue to believe God, even through the suffering, you'll see those pieces falling into place. There are people who get angry, and they stay stuck at that one puzzle piece where it came together. And the rest of the puzzle is being put together, but they stay there in the middle of the puzzle instead of seeing the whole puzzle. So all of this time goes by, years and years, and people can't see the bigger picture, and that's so sad. You cannot stay stuck there. You have to let go. You have to go through it, and you have to accept it. And it may sound like it's no big deal, but really this morning I was running to get here, and not because I slept in. I got up at 6:30, but because I had all of these things I had to deal with before I got here. And God knew I was in a hurry. He knew that I needed to be here on time. There were so many things I had to do. I only needed 5 seconds to take care of something, and I got stuck at a train. My body wanted to say, "Really, God?" But that's silly. That's just so dumb. Because He didn't make the train come by. Well, maybe He was keeping me from getting into an accident. But I had to tell myself to embrace it and accept it, that the train was there and that it was okay. That it would move on and I would get to church. So I have to learn to calm down and accept all things that aren't right in our lives, because life is not fair. God is fair. And I know that as soon as the train was done and I went on, I was going to get a blessing with the next puzzle piece. And it's true, my morning has been beautiful ever since. Just beautiful. And I'm giving you this example because I don't want you to think that it's not a big deal. If I had gotten here and I was angry about the train, and I was saying, God knew I was going to be late, why didn't He make the train get by faster so I could get here on time? My morning has been ruined. My day has been ruined. That's typically what we say, right? Instead, I said, okay, the train is there. I'm not going anywhere. I'm sitting here. I'm able to send a text message and pray, and then I'll go to church, and then I'll get there. And so what has taken place, you have to let go of so that the rest of the puzzle can be seen. And now I can see the rest of that piece of the puzzle. My morning has turned out beautiful. I get to be here with you. I have friends that are in town. So there are many wonderful things that are happening in those puzzle pieces being put into place. And you've had this experience, right? You pray and pray and you hope for something, and then all of a sudden the right person shows up. Or you're praying for something and you got money that you needed all of a sudden. Or you just happen to be in the right place at the right time. You know what I mean by that? And you say, how did you know I needed that at that moment? That's God working in your life. That's God sending those puzzle pieces to you. Because He wants you to be victorious. He wants you to be happy and successful. He has a plan. But you and I can't get mad at that one incident and then stay mad at it while the rest of the wonderful things are happening around us because we miss them. You have to move on. You have to keep going. You have to get rid of whatever happened 1,000% of the time. Consider it to be over and done. Don't be disappointed. Don't be angry. Don't be bitter. Remember, all things work together for our benefit, even the bad things. As you see the puzzle coming together, you may look back and say, that's why we were broke during that time. And now I know if I hadn't been broke during that time, I wouldn't have learned the lesson I was supposed to learn. And now I have all of these resources, and that's so much better than it was before. Something else that can happen is that your marriage may really be terrible. If your marriage stinks and you refuse to get counseling, you refuse to meditate on what to do to change yourself, then you can't move into the better marriage. So you have to remember what happened and how God put the puzzle together. Even though it was uncomfortable, I learned and I improved. I got better, and now my marriage is wonderful. And thank you to God. But if you stay stuck there, then you're going to be always thinking, my marriage is terrible, we went to counseling, nothing changed. And this is where I'm stuck. And it's because you're bitter. You're angry, you're resentful. You have to let that go, and you have to go on. And remember that all things work together for your benefit. He wants us to have happy and victorious lives. You have to be patient, and you have to believe. And your faith must be strong. It cannot be weak. It has to be strong. When your faith is weak, Satan will trip you up, and you'll stumble, you'll become bitter, and you won't be able to move on. You have to accept that the puzzle turns out to be a beautiful picture that you're going to receive. Each of you are going to receive a beautiful picture. You have to tell yourself over and over again, I know God has a great plan for my life. I know that the Holy Spirit is leading me, even though I don't understand what's happening in my life. God knows, and I trust Him to keep me, and I know that Christ loves me. And the way that I know that is because He died for me. And I may be going through a challenge right now, and there may be more challenges, but the rest of the puzzle will fall into place, and then I'll have victory. I'll have that victorious